The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we are discussing tonight is the great school of life. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, as you know, as usual, I like to look at the title and the words in the title or topic, and then look in the dictionary, the meaning of the words there. And so tonight's topic is the great school of life. I've decided to miss out the word great, and I'm going to go to look at the word school first. So the meaning in the dictionary for the word school is an institution for educating children. That's one meaning. And another meaning, it says any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. So is that definition suitable for our discussion tonight, Gregory?
Well, thanks for this question. I hope you can hear me clearly.
I can. Only I hear my own voice being repeated. It's like an echo back to me. So it's only disturbing me, and I hope the listeners are not hearing the any echo. So just go ahead, Gregory. So the meaning of the word school in the dictionary.
Well, as we all know, or we assume, the purpose of this discussion is to look at the spiritual side of things. And therefore, what one will be considering here will be more of an intuitive picture rather than the word itself. Because only through the intuitive picture can one get a holistic meaning. The school that you just described only gives a picture of the limited edition of what a school should be, which is referred to as, like you just described, an institution where education is carried out. So it's only very partial. It's not deep enough.
Right. So I think we need to rectify that, that we have the definition which is, appropriate for us. So what would we mean in our holistic definition for school? Is it, here in the dictionary it was referring to children, then it said a particular discipline. Obviously our subject is life. That is the title today, the great school of life. So how should we treat this word school in our discussion?
Well, with the word school itself, it gives a picture of a place a picture of a place where learning to become aware is carried out. So whether you have someone there to supervise the learning, or that a particular personality learns through observation, that must also be categorized as a school. Most importantly, the learning, becoming aware through a language.
Oh, Gregory, we just lost you there. You talked about language there.
Yes, then I stopped. I said becoming aware through the development or the learning of a language.
I see. Okay. Thank you for that. And okay, I'm now taking that in. Obviously, this is a very, very broad meaning when we refer to the word school in our discussion here. It obviously is actually, let's now go one step at a time, Gregory. So you said a school can be a place to learn. So now let's look at the place. The place, are we referring to this earth or the universe or even something wider than that?
Much wider. Any place where one is able to learn a language so as to become aware of that place. That should be a school.
Right. For me, that looks like you're always learning. You know that as adults you can still learn. And this word learn, we don't just mean, and you said language, actually, that's the reference you used there. And okay, so let's stick to that because I had another idea about the place we can learn. So, right, so language, Gregory, let's, when you say language, obviously we don't just mean the human language of communication between humans. I think you mean wider than that. So what else do you mean about when you talk about language?
Language is for communication. So when that's what language is used, that means the learner should be able to strive to comprehend the language which the school speaks to him, and he himself or herself is able to respond to this language, whether that place is in the home or a special place which you may call an institution, or the whole of nature or of creation. Creation is a place, and creation has its own language.
Right. Now we're getting somewhere. I can see the pictures being painted now. This context where we have the school and where we have language. So I can start to picture that. Not only human language and communication, but nature as well, as you pointed to now, Gregory. So, okay. Now, just to remind everybody, the topic is the great school of life. And so I want to now go into the word life. And here in the dictionary, Gregory, the definition I found was the condition, that's the meaning of life, the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change, feeding, death. And the existence of an individual being or animal. This is how it's been defined in the dictionary. Please can you tell us more? This is appropriate for our discussion.
Well, as has been stressed, that in this forum, one must strive to grasp the intuitive meaning, which helps to establish the spiritual background of what life is. What you yourself has just described, which you have found from the dictionary, is only a very limited version. For when life is mentioned, first one must consider motion. Whatever exists must be in motion, because motion is a law in creation, is a law in nature. And therefore, because there is motion, power is what animates the individual, or the plant, or the stone, to ensure it is in motion, whether it's in vibration or in movement. So when life is mentioned, the intuitive picture will be the independent power that animates that which exists.
Thank you, Gregory, for that answer and picture. What I want to do for tonight, because this is a massive topic, we want to think of human beings what I mean is this, want to understand this topic of the school of life in terms of the life of human beings, although we know there's other life, obviously, and we're talking about the school of life, so it's learning about life, you could say, and we want to focus again on the human experiences in this discussion. So I want to say we know on Earth, obviously a human being is born as a baby and then goes to infant, then a child, school, and also by their parents or guardians, and then becomes an adult and chooses from that point on, So now I want to agree. That's the sort of a summary of life, you could say, Earth life. And at the same time, we're looking at this spiritual, you could say, understanding of the spiritual experiencing earthly. So, what I want to say, or ask is, would you say when parents have a child and the child has to, you could say, develop and learn the language of the parents and its unity. I'm trying to form a question on that. So let's say, let me start. Is it already within us to all the ability inside the child to develop itself, or some things need to be added to the parent?
Sorry, could you repeat precisely, because there were some echoes?
Yes, I'm hearing the echoes as well. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can hear you. I just want things to be coherent so one
Yes,
can
yes,
easily
sorry.
follow.
Okay, so what I'm saying, Gregory, I'm trying to start sort of from Earth life when parents bring up a child. And what I want to ask is, does the child have all its have inherent ability already to learn and to develop itself, or does something need to be added to the child, some skills and things need to be added to the child for it to develop on Earth?
Just like a plant or just like a seed, that seed needs to be planted in the soil for it to germinate. So the same thing happens to the child that has talents which needs to be cultivated. That the talents are inborn and have not been cultivated does not mean that the child is not, in quotes, intelligent. At a particular age, during the cultivation of these skills, these innate skills, the child becomes aware, just like you have a child that is learning the language, which language it needs to use to communicate with not only the parents, but also in the wider environment. Only in a step-by-step manner is it able to grow. When one talks about someone growing, it starts from a particular point and then builds up. So these tokens are already there, but they need to be cultivated to allow them to come to fruition.
Thank you for this answer, Gregory. What I'm seeing is, I'm just imagining being a child in a school and being in the family background and what you have to learn, as the first, you could say, part of the development is to have the communication with the parents and people around. So that's the language that you learn first, just to be able to speak and communicate that way. Which of course we know that happens with a child when they speak words at the beginning and then make sentences, and eventually they can go to school, they can learn much more. Gregory, can you hear the echo there?
Yes, it's echoing.
Yes. I have to say, I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. It's gone now. It's okay now. Okay. So that's, as you say, Gregory, that could be the first step in the language, learning a language. And then there's another, you could say, there are many languages that need to be learned by a child in this scenario that we're thinking of. The other one is, how to behave and how to act, which the parents again are responsible for teaching the child. So now, what I want to ask there, Gregory, when there's an interaction between parents and child, and the child is always seems to very observant and very keen to follow what it is told. And then, as you said, they have intelligence and they start to, use it themselves, apply it themselves. So what I want to ask there, Gregory, what's the foundation there when your parents are bringing up a child, in teaching them good manners, in the character, building the character? Is there something sort of guiding in bringing up a child?
Those who are parents or guardians or teachers, those can only offer to the child in a step-by-step manner that which they themselves know. They cannot offer to the child what they themselves do not yet have or do not yet know. Therefore, you will find the language, which language is taken generally, be it the spoken language or the behavioral language. All these are ways to assist the child to open up so as to build up within its talent that have been sown into it in order to allow them to grow. First, the general language on how to control the body such that it will bring benefit to the user of the body, and how to construct its spoken language, even the other aspects of the five senses, how to observe, how to listen carefully. All these form parts of the language, which is what one is referring to intuitively.
Thank you for that, Gregory. There was a word you used when you said language. You said, was it behavioral language? We have to learn.
There is also behavioral language.
Right.
It is also a language. Then there is the spoken language. It is a language.
Thank you. Yes. So that actually helps us to, as I say, envisage, the languages that we have to learn. And I started with it being a child, and then obviously working towards adulthood. And you pointed out clearly that we can only give what we know, and what we don't know, we can't give that. And of course, there is more that we don't. There are things that we don't know. It's also quite clear. So it means, Gregory, there are some things we have to discover. Even the parents or teachers. So I'm wondering, Gregory, even those adults' education, you can say, is from people around them. So is there another source of, you could say, development or guidance that we need to be open to?
The challenges which the human personality encounters and gradually strives to respond to these challenges, that in itself is a source which keeps hammering on the personality. Even at a tender age, there are challenges not only behavioral, but also how to express oneself. There are many things which a child is able to observe, which an adult might not have observed. So one should not consider learning or experiencing as tied to an institution. It's a holistic scenario which the human personality is involved in. In the first instance, there is the physical body which offers the human personality the five senses. So the child whose core is of spirit needs to know how to make use of these senses that has been granted it. Behind these senses is the human intuition. So, but everything is done gradually to allow the budding person to experience knowingly by using these senses, so-called the five senses which have been granted to it, by using it for interaction here in the world of gross matter.
Thank you very much for this answer, Gregory. I think we now getting, let's say, moving in the right direction in terms of building up our picture about using the senses, the five senses and the intuition. So we are going to explore that further in a moment. Dear listeners, you're listening to Blessed Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the Great School of Life. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. Okay. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth. The Grail Message by Abdushin. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And you're listening to us on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, again the number 1, space, live stream. That's for the live show. And you can listen to the recording of this show the next day. Also on YouTube, go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which is the Great School of Life. And you can listen to our previous shows, recording of previous shows, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, which is ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1. Now, Gregory, you've just mentioned about the five senses and also the intuition. And I think we are quite familiar with our five senses, which are, you could say, helpful in our physical world, that, or they're the, let's say they're the physical senses. And then there's the intuition, which some people call it even the sixth sense. So just to be clear, Gregory, what is the intuition?
first clarification, the intuition is not the sixth sense. The intuition is the language which the personality that uses the physical body, that language that it uses for communication. For it must be carefully considered that the personality or the person you see externally in flesh and blood, that person only uses the physical body. The token that activates the physical body is spirit. And the language of the spirit, the language which the spirit uses for communication or for structured communication, that is intuition. That is what many may refer to as intuitive perception. Sometimes it is referred to as the inner voice.
Thank you, Gregory, for that answer. It is again building the picture for us in our discussion so that we can explore this topic of the school of life. So we have the five senses and we have the intuition. I'm hearing myself again. Okay. Just can I check, Gregory? Is anybody on your side is hearing to the live broadcast, because that might be replaying in front of me to me? Because on my side, I know I haven't got anything live that I'm. Just to double check that, because I think that's what the echo is coming from.
Well, one is in a place that is very quiet. There's no other thing happening here.
Right. Okay. So apologize, listeners, for that. I don't know where this echo is coming from. I'm hearing it, and I know other listeners are also hearing it. At the moment, I'm not quite sure where the source is, so apologize. So just bear with us. And it's now clear again, so it's quite funny. Okay, so Gregory, yeah. Now, okay, let me ask, going back to the child, we have the intuition, we are aware that it exists. You said it's the voice of the spirit or inner voice. I want to ask, does the child's intuition work as well as an adult's intuition? Just let's look at that first, because we're talking about learning here. So does the child's intuition work like an adult's one, or does it also have to be developed?
The intuition is not developed. The intuition is already there. It is here on earth where the physical body grants the five senses, which physical body is new to the occupier. It is in that particular domain that the occupier needs to learn how to use these five senses gradually. It means it has to be developed. Whereas that which is of intuitive perception is always there. Whether man is able to make use of it or not is a different discussion.
Right. Okay, that's quite a distinction. So, okay. So, we know the five senses, we need that for our daily life in, communicating and so on, and sensing. That's what they are, the five senses. So, with the intuition, Gregory, and you said we have to develop those five senses to, become familiar with them and apply them, you can say, in our life. With the intuition, it's always there, you said. So we don't need to develop it, or don't we have to tune in to the intuition somehow?
The question you're asking is, you said we.
We mean
the question is,
yeah.
Who is the we? Is we the physical body, or the occupier of the physical body, or that personality that makes use of the physical body is of spirit? Therefore, when the spirit needs to communicate with the physical body, it does that using the intuition. It is that intuition which is supposed to be picked up by the back brain and passed on to the frontal brain, from whence we now have these five senses coming into operation. If, however, that intuition registers very well, it means, therefore, the five senses are able to make use of this particular intuition. If it does not register very well, then it is the external impressions which the frontal brain has gathered that takes the lead. And that is what leads to the overdevelopment of the frontal brain.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory. We just want to become clear about you could say, the operation of the five senses and the operation of the intuition. And I think we're getting the right, a better picture now of that. So let's go back, Gregory, to the school of life, of learning. Now, and let's have a look at the, let's say, behavioral aspect of the learning. Let's say, and we don't need to worry about children at this case now. We can just look at the human behavior. So we are aware, we say laws. I'm talking about human laws. You shouldn't steal. You should not. What can I say? Injure someone or damage someone. And now I want to look at that Gregory from the, let's say, inner thing. There are things that are taught, educated. Don't do this, don't do that, or do this. So it's one side, and then we're talking about learning. You said tuition, it is there. So let's start to picture that the activity with what we are brought up with in our education, and how the intuition, you could say, assesses a response to these laws, the earthly laws. So could you give a picture there, Gregory? how we are brought up, you could say, into the earthly do's and don'ts in the behavior, and then how the intuition works in relation to learning do's and don'ts.
In dealing with these matters, sometimes or at all times, it is helpful to keep it simple, because listening to your question, there are so many nouns and verbs, and so it runs to certain complexities, whereas what one wishes to discuss, one should, in the first instance, keep it simple. When you yourself mentioned the laws or the earthly laws, these are only rules which some have come to know, which are societal. And these rules have been put in place to help establish order, which order grants each individual personality the opportunities to develop himself or herself. Like was stressed earlier, that which you yourself do not know, you cannot offer it because you lack that knowledge or that experience. And therefore, in our so-called educational system, that which they know or which they have come to know is what they offer. If they do not have a clear perception of the activities of the intuitive perception, then in all naturalness, they themselves cannot offer it. What one will stress here is that which is of intuition is or manifests itself basically in the virtues. That means that which is of intuition, when is put into practice, it can be seen as the virtues. That which is of intuition, one should not be expecting to have a scenario where calculation imbalance is concerned. That which is of intuition is ennobling, and it is the ennoblement which the individual has to learn gradually and then adjust to it. Those virtues which one refers to are the virtues of simplicity, of humility. These are starting points. So whatever language which one needs to learn, that language which is of intuition manifests itself as the virtues which help to polish the individual. All else, other than the virtues, other than the intuition, are just earthly, which the human personality needs to use in order to be able to exist on earth. Again, even the virtues are brought into this particular scenario the virtue of diligence, the virtue of courage, the virtue of skill, of skillfulness, and of compassion and vigilance. So when one looks at a holistic picture, whatever activity one wishes to get into, whether learning a new language or learning a skill so as to master it here on earth, in order to be able to live with one's neighbor, one should not forget that just as he himself is striving to cultivate these virtues, so also is the other. In that case, it has to be the scenario of one for all and all for one. That is the support. That is what the human personality first needs to learn. In the process of striving to cultivate these virtues, which virtues are like the language which it needs to use in order to understand the language of nature, for nature's activities across the human personality, you then find that it needs to open itself to these challenges which accost it every time. Before long, in its development, one will find that these virtues, which one has referred to that of courage, of modesty, of diligence, they are personalized. That means they are not just verbs like an activity. These virtues are personalized. That means there are persons or there are individuals who stand to radiate power in order that these virtues will be cultivated accordingly. When things have to be cultivated, it means that the tokens, the seeds for the cultivation is already there. What needs to happen is to tend these seeds such that they grow. And when they grow, they come to fruition. So one must always strive to look at a holistic picture, a holistic scenario, rather than a disjointed scenario which the intellect tries to offer in many a challenge.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this picture you've just painted. I'm trying my best to absorb that in the holistic way that you're talking about. But somehow, let's say I have an automatic way of seeing this, or let's say the first words when you spoke struck me. It brought me to think of children being given read bedtime stories of heroes, doing heroic things, and it's like instilling in children values of, I'm going to use the word in quotes, good behavior, but it's more than that, of course, or values, and you use diligence there as a virtue, and many other virtues you mentioned there. So ways to instill good character and virtues into children. I know you're talking more than just children here, but it just came to me that way. Those fairy stories, as we say, giving those heroic stories. Now, that was referring to children, parents teaching children or guardians teaching children. So, what I want to ask, Gregory, these virtues, are they coming from sort of a religious force or human philosophy? As ways to teach us to live, you could say, for like you say, for one and one for all. So, where are these virtues coming from?
The virtue, for example, of alertness, of vigilance, it is not, but many.
Sorry, Gregory, could you just restart? Your voice just faded. Just start it again.
The virtues which one mentioned, these virtues are not philosophy, it is in humility, taking bits at a time, not carrying too much. So when humility is mentioned, it is not a philosophy, it is practical. That is how it's done. Things are done in bits until completed. So when virtues are mentioned, one should not be considering that, maybe some philosophers said this or said that. To complete a task, or like they said, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Things are done step by step. Even in the development of a language is done in a step-by-step manner. So these things are practical. What has happened is that many a person, in considering these behaviors or these general languages, they have reflected on it and they try in their activities to put these ideas in a firm footing. The same thing has happened in the case of religion. In the case of religion, where they have been kindly advised on how a human personality ought to behave in a society so as not to make its parts impossible, because he or she is not the only one. And at the same time, even in religious circles, the idea or the notion of power which comes in, that notion of power is also highly linked with how that power operates. How the power operates, one may call it the rules which has been pressed out by that power, or the laws which have been pressed out by that power, which one may call the laws of nature. For only through the laws of nature does nature itself exist. Just like only through the laws of creation does creation itself exist.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for that excellent picture you have just put there we really see going deep into this subject now. I think we have to go step by step, as you have said. Appreciating that there is nature, and that nature works through its laws, or follows laws, and same creation. It came into being through laws. So it's like we're getting to appreciate that what we are saying, these virtues are coming through nature and or through creation, and we are, let's say, slowly we're getting to see that picture. So thank you so much for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the Great School of Life. The Great School of Life. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the Great School of Life. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows, the recordings of previous shows as well on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. Now, Gregory, we're really getting into the meat of the topic for tonight, which is the Great School of Life. And we're getting to know that really, yes, we're talking about learning about life. And really, it's about nature, or creation. We live in creation and we live with nature. So obviously, we need to know about it and learn about it, and creation as well, the same way. Let's say previously we might just be thinking, oh yes, we need to communicate with our parents or our society and so on. That's just like only a part of the, you could say, life's journey. And we need to look at it more holistically. So let's go further now, Gregory. So let's say we're talking about learning a language. You said that. Now, oops, the echo has come back again. I don't know how it happens, but okay, then it's disappeared again. That's good. So what I'm wondering, Gregory, now, how much time are we given to learn? We have our childhood, to where we could just say, develop ourselves, what can I say, in an earthly way. So with our other talents, or you could say the virtues, how much time are we given to develop the virtues within us as human beings?
Well, thanks. When you ask that question, how much time are given to develop the virtues, first one must ask, what are these virtues? And what is the limits of development? Or what is the limits of the awareness, or to the limit to develop the awareness of what these virtues are? You will then find that truly there is almost a no boundary in the unfolding of, say, diligence. First, there is the diligence in the earthly way by using the five senses, which one is granted. There is also diligence in the non-earthly, albeit intuitively. So, what is the limit? One may talk about the limit when one is referring to the development of these virtues with regards in using the senses, the implement which has been granted individuals in an earthly way. There's also the development to bring to awareness of these virtues in an intuitive way. So you'll find that until the human personality adjusts itself in such a way that it's able to make use of these virtues, for only when you make use of something do you then know it deeper and deeper. A very simple example is when you start speaking as a child, your diction is limited. But as you mature, you find your diction increases. And in that case, you can also write not only children's stories, but adult stories. You can write novels. You can speak articulately. So that means the language which you then use expands, but you keep experiencing. In a similar fashion, when it comes to the development of these virtues, depending on the level in which man is, here on the earthly plane, there is a limit with which the human personality using the five senses cannot exceed, because it is earthly. After the earthly is the ethereal, and the experiencing goes further. After the ethereal, that means within the world of matter. Outside of that, there is the continuous development, continuous experiencing, continuous expansion of the use of these virtues in the animistic. And above that, when one then comes arrives home as a self-conscious human personality, it means, therefore, to a large extent, it has awakened within itself that consciousness, that awareness on the use of these virtues, on the radiation which these virtues offer, such that as you would have when one had mastered a particular language, it subsequently is able to assist others in the mastering of this language, just like you have teachers doing. So, when you then have that the human personality has achieved self-consciousness in accordance with the laws of creation, he himself or herself is now able to assist others who are starting as children, to direct them first in their intuition, and subsequently, were they to incarnate on earth, also in or through their intuition, you have the inner voice suggesting to them how they should go about it in order to unearth that which has been planted deep within them, since they themselves have gone through that stage. That is all that is required from the human personality. When the human personality has achieved that, it has become a human being.
Wow, Gregory, that's an incredible picture you have just painted and really explained, you can say. It's a massive world, you could say, of the school is a very big, massive school, which, let's say, one may not have thought it could be this way. The topic tonight is the great school of life. And now you have shown that what is this great school of life? It's, as I said, most of us think of the earthly school and earthly development, but it's much, much wider, holistic, as we always say, as you always point out. That is just a fraction, if that word is even appropriate, in our journey of life, that we are familiar with, or let's say partially familiar with. There is the global picture, the holistic picture of the real human journey of life, which is a massive school beyond the earthly, which we, as I say, probably don't think about it. So thank you for bringing that out. And I can already see, like you said, these virtues, this development of the virtues and the use of the virtues, it is limitless. You can never stop. It's like you're living. So whatever you need to live, the virtues have to be there with you for that. So it's part of our, we could say, very hard to give the right words, but just we have to have these virtues with us all the time in our life. So, my original question was about the time limit or time scale to develop these virtues. And of course, we can see it's a massive time scale. So now, Gregory, I was going to say what is the purpose of these virtues, but I think that you've answered it already in that last answer. So, Gregory, can we become masters in all the virtues, or are we meant to specialize? It sounds a bit crazy to say that, but there's a variety of virtues. So let me say, are there some virtues that we should just be, how can I say, specialize and become masters in? Is that what is like we're supposed to be? Like there's a variety of talent. Some are musical, some people are, let's say, intellectual, minded. Some uh, are there certain people will be masters and others will be masters in some other.
Whatever activity an individual engages in, one can develop those virtues that will enhance its performance. But this has to be done with something in mind, in the sense of there are virtues which are in consonance with the female, and there are others which are also in consonance with the man. And there are some that are in between. That's which the human personality needs to cultivate as a man. One must do so. One should not expect the virtues which are peculiar to the man to be the same as the virtues which are peculiar to the woman. To the woman or to the female is the virtue of purity. Man can, strictly speaking, not cultivate purity. For within the scheme of nature, within the scheme of creation, the human woman is more connected to nature, to creation, because of her sensitivity. That being the case, she is able to connect with the living streams of power due to her constitution. So her capability in the cultivation of virtues is different from that of the man. All this one can, for those who are discerning, find in the work, in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdushin. What is key in these matters is the personal volition of the individual to strive after that which is noble, after that which is of benefit, and at the same time understand that just as he himself or herself is striving after that which is virtuous, which is noble, which is of benefit, so also are others. And therefore, in their activities, they should strive to ensure that they do not become an obstacle to themselves or others who are striving to achieve that which is beneficial to nature, to themselves, and to creation. In following that path, streams of power which are already in nature, streams of power which have been put in creation. These streams will approach the individual, will accost the individual. It is these streams that pass through structures, which one referred to in the general language, which one mentioned as the noun in a language. These streams or these structures radiate these powers or these streams of power gradually in one's experiencing. One will come to understand that these structures stand, these structures for purity, which one may refer to as faithfulness, for diligence, for heroism, for skill, for wisdom. The old or the earlier people in the past already were able to perceive of this through their intuition. More of this one may investigate to understand it aright in the walk in the light of truth. Here is only a mention directing the individual, the discerning individual, to investigate further. For in the further investigation, that is a part of diligence. That's a part of alertness. That is a part of vigilance. For when the human personality strives to investigate further in diligence, in vigilance, powers stream to that individual in a commensurate manner to be able to find. Therefore, it is said, he or she who seeks diligently will find.
Thank you so much, Gregory, again, for what you have said there. It's really a lot to take in, and but we can, let's say, slowly dig deep into it, as you have advised and recommended that people can go and search in the Grail message, in the light of truth by Abdushin, to find to explore this much more and understand more. Just to sort of a little bit recap what you said there, Gregory, about the virtues, which some are, you could say, more for the male and others for the female, and then others which are common for both male and female. So, normally one would ask, in this modern world of equality that people are striving for, or how can it be that certain virtues are for male and others are for female? It's like a discrimination. That's how people might view it. But then when we, as you pointed it to, how nature has constituted the male and the female with different abilities and capabilities, you can say, the structure is attuned, designed this way, that the male has certain ability or capability, and the female has a different capability and ability, and or let's say purpose even. And for that, they need virtues appropriate for that. So when you see it in, well, let me just finish first. Let me just finish. I just want people to see that this is a broad picture that need to, just need to appreciate it where they, how can I say, the how nature is basically. So yeah, go ahead, Gregory.
Well, you mentioned the case of talk of discrimination that they have. People are talking of equal ability, whatever it is. But one should always, observe carefully in nature. The woman is the one who nature has endowed to be able to carry a baby and give birth to a baby here on earth. The man hasn't got that capability or that ability. So why should someone who is not naturally endowed with certain capabilities now turn against nature and say, look, this is one-sidedness? Where are the men who carry babies for 9 months and then deliver? None. So these ideas which come up where they think what the woman is capable of, the man is capable of, or what the man is capable of, the woman is capable of, these have only come into being due to stark ignorance, because they have not observed deeply enough. Else, they will find that the activities of the woman and the activities of the man complement each other in order to form the whole. So that is where you find the one for all and all for one. It doesn't mean that you yourself must have the same abilities. That is not how it is.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Those words, Gregory. Because obviously, as always, looking at it holistically rather than from one side, you will miss the point. You can say, or miss the purpose and the how it is nature has structured this creation and world. We are not the creator ourselves. It's nature, as let's say, through nature we have come. So we need to always remember that if we're going to try and understand what is happening here. So thank you. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Aprushin. And if you're interested in knowing more about the Grail message or want to get a copy of the Grail message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And you're listening to us on Bless Radio, which is listening to Bless Radio, and we're broadcasting on blessradio1.com. That's the number one, blessradio1.com. 1.com. Also, you can hear us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type on the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube the next day. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space Grail message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the Great School of Life. And of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. And as I mentioned, the topic we're discussing tonight is the Great School of Life. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text or use WhatsApp. Gregory, these virtues, of course, we are meant to become aware of them, develop them, and and obviously apply them on the earth and beyond, our eternal life, you could say. So what is the purpose there, Gregory, with all these virtues? Is it what's the big purpose in developing these virtues?
The virtues form part of the language which the spirit needs to cultivate in order to understand the operations, the activities in nature, in creation aright. Only when these have been well cultivated will the human personality understand how to speak or to interact with the language which creation speaks to it. Only then can it become useful and is not of hindrance. Else, it will bump from one place to the other and through confusion into its own path, and before long, if not careful, the mills of creation will crush it. Will crush it means that it will have to go through such difficulty that if it doesn't cultivate these features in good time, in the particular part of creation referred to as the world of matter, which world of matter is temporal, within that period granted to it, then the likelihood remains that within that period, as long as it hasn't built these virtues firm within it, it could be crushed. That means that which it has cultivated, which does not resonate aright within creation, those that have been cultivated will now disintegrate, because it will be directing the streams of power in a haphazard manner, and in such a way will tie itself to the lower planes in creation, where one has the temporary nature in the world of matter. Therefore, it is very important that it needs to strive in such a way as to understand or to cultivate these virtues, which form part of the language, such that it's able to adjust itself. Only when it has adjusted itself is it able to go back to paradise as a self-conscious human personality. Self-conscious, which is self-awareness. Awareness, knowing what the language of creation is, and is able to speak that language. Else, if it's unable to speak the language through its own indolence, it will be crushed and may have to revert back to paradise the way it started, as an unconscious spirit germ.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer. It shows how, fundamentally important it is for us to know the virtues, the purpose of the virtues, and you hit the nail on the head when you said it's about, learning the language. You could say to communicate, to operate in this creation and working with nature, in harmony with nature. And if we don't learn this language, then obviously there are severe consequences, as we know. Let's say just when we hear the news about climate change, the consequences of that, when we are not standing all for one and one for all, for the benefit of all, then obviously we can expect a massive disaster for us. So, and that's in the physical world we are talking about, and but here with the virtues is worse, is bigger than that. It's this whole creation. So, thank you for bringing that out. Now, Gregory, you've already mentioned earlier that it is the intuition that we use to, you could say, intuition, the inner voice, which is able to, which is the language of the spirit, and which is able to work to develop these virtues in us. So, and you also mentioned earlier that the people of the ancient times or older times were more close to, they said they used their intuition in a better way than us in the modern times, and so they were closer with, you could say, nature. Now, what that made me think, Gregory, there are people who like to use, as they say, use alternative medicine or herbal medicine and such, let's say, which is more common from the ancient times, or it's attributed to those ancient times. And then in the world of today, again, there's science and modern medicine, which looks down on this alternative medicine, and it says it was unproven, and it's, may even be false treatments that they're coming up with, or cures, as they say, because the science is not able to prove that from its own assessment that this herbal medicine or alternative medicine really works. So when this is happening, Gregory, in the world we live today, and there's a lot of, let me just say, yes, how can one, know if something will work, Gregory, in this type of case of alternative medics, and because there are fraudsters also out there, promoting things. So how can one sort of know what alternative medicines treatments are, let's say, genuine and genuine, meaning that they actually work, and ones that should or not?
That question to know, which requires knowledge to know, there must be some investigation, some impartial investigation, just as there could be fraudsters in the so-called local medicine or herbal medicine. So also there are fraudsters in the so-called scientific medicine, and there are loads of them. For science to be able to prove or disprove, then it needs to investigate. One should not forget that hypnotism at the beginning was despised and called all sorts of names. And science never bothered, or medicine never bothered about it, until they themselves had to investigate the effect on patients, on themselves. Then they were able to have verification. And now, what happens? Even when it is not recommended, they use hypnotism. So it's a matter of choice for those who, deep within them, wishes to use herbal medicine, or those who wishes to use so-called scientific medicine. After all, most of all these things are plant-based medication. It's just that one is able to have a fairly good measure so as not to overload the patient, whereas the others do not have instrument to measure, but sometimes rely on arbitrary measure in their treatment of patients. So how should one go about it? It depends on the individual. They have to investigate. Very sadly, you will find many give themselves to science, as in the case of hypnotism, which was initially, dismissed as humbug. They just give themselves to hypnotism in the so-called scientific arena, and they bind themselves. So each person, through their inner intuition, through the strong impression that strikes them, they have to make that decision.
Thank you again, Gregory, for that answer and clarification about, how we should look at these things. The intuition is the king or the queen, or however you want to put it, in assessing these things. And we just have to recognize how it works, and that it is coming through nature. So, all these answers, in a way, it's like an awakening, as you said earlier, Gregory. We have to come to an awakening, to a recognition. And now, what I'm wondering, Gregory, you use the word investigation there as well. So, and we also have this saying that life is, or experience is the best teacher. Experience is the best teacher. So, what I'm wondering, Gregory, is, do we test everything that we come across? Because at the beginning we don't know which way to, let's say, we're assessing something. Is it this way? Is it that way? Just like you said, there's science and there's, you could say, herbal medicine, science medicine and herbal medicine, and there can be fraud on either side, as we know. So is the only real way, Gregory, is to test. And then why I'm asking this is, some things are dangerous and some things are, let's say, safe. If you are just dipping your toe in water, let's say water there, which is one way is you can sink and die. Another one where you can, let's say, you could swim, but you don't know the beginning. So how can we check or be aware that the direction we choose is not going to be fatal for us?
When one refers to all the investigations in which one uses the 5 senses to do the investigation, and most likely, to some extent, that is what so-called science does. And any other that exceeds the limitations of the 5 physical senses, it is unable to make a pronouncement on it. So on the one hand, there is the possibility of investigation using the senses as tools of perception, limited to that which is earthly. On the other hand, there is the investigation which comes via one's intuition. In that particular investigation, when one has, in quotes, purified to a large extent one's intuition, wanting or striving to know of something will be such that invariably one will be guided through paths through which the effects of that which he or she needs to know, that person is able to collect, to observe these effects with minimal injury or no injury at all. That is a possibility. Only for those who are able to recognize their intuition aright. Only through such is the person able to use the intuition as the tool for investigation. Very simply, you yourself are in London. I am in a different place in Europe. What happens We do not have a long string to connect us, but through the radiations of electrical pulses, energy is transmitted, it is deciphered, and one is able to pass that information from here to your place. All this happen using radiations. In the same way, he or she who needs to investigate with one's intuition must be on the alert to be able to understand or to strive to comprehend of the radiations through which information is passed from one to the other. Only in that way is one able to perceive of the fine vibrations and through experience make a decision.
Thank you, Gregory, for that answer. What I'm realizing there is that, just again, that there are these laws of nature or laws of creation, and nothing happens outside of these laws. So once you have this understanding and picture that whatever I'm assessing or looking at, there's this framework, structure, as you pointed out before, Gregory. Nothing happens outside of that. And if you can, let's say, take the structure and recognize that there is some structure, there is something, because obviously nothing happens in a vacuum. We know that. There's not something, nothing leading to something. There's something leading to something. So it's like a common sense in a way. If you are able to just apply those basic principles and go step by step, as you've said before as well, Gregory, and look at it this way, then, and also with the intuition is also a growing thing for us to use it more and more. And as you get more, how can I say, better at using it, then you can see things more easily. So these things will start to make sense. Now, listeners, we've come to the end of our show tonight on the topic of the great school of life. So I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And as usual, I like to read from the Grail message, the foreword of the Grail message, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you're truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdrusheen. So, dear listeners, if you want to get a copy of the Grail message or want to get more information on the Grail message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAG.com. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight, listeners. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time, another topic. I also apologize for the echo of my voice. I don't know how it's happened, but it's difficult for me as well to listen to that. So apologies for that. Is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners? Say goodbye.
Wishing all listeners a very good week.
Thank you. Thanks, listeners. Take care. All the best to you. God bless. Good night. Bye.